I walked into that building with a latte in my hand and love in my heart. Crazy, right? 28 years of marriage, and I still got excited to surprise my wife at work like some teenager with a crush. My name's Gerald, 56, and until that Thursday, I honestly thought my wife Lauren was the only steady thing in my life. She's the CEO of a massive tech company downtown, always busy, always stressed, always in meetings. Lately, she'd been working late. Too late. But I trusted her. That's what marriage is built on, right? The lobby guard looked at me like I'd told the world's funniest joke. "You're the CEO's husband?" he said, grinning. "Sir, I see her husband every day." Before I could even ask what he meant, a tall, polished man in a charcoal suit walked out of the elevator like he owned the skyline. Confident, younger, stylish. Exactly the type my wife would call impressive. The guard waved at him. "There, that's her husband." My heart didn't break, it just froze. The man looked at me with a flicker of recognition. Not guilt. No, worse. He looked at me the way someone looks at a stranger who knows too much. I kept my voice steady. "Oh, you must be Frank." He paused, then smiled, like we were both in on some secret. That was the moment I realized I didn't know my wife at all. Because the man leaving her office wasn't me. Driving home felt like floating underwater. Everything muted, slow, unreal. 28 years of inside jokes, shared bills, holidays, burnt casseroles. And suddenly I wasn't her husband in the place she spent most of her life. I was just some man. When I got home, our red brick house looked exactly the same. But walking through it felt different, like touching memories that didn't belong to me anymore. Lauren came home at 9:30, heels clicking the same familiar rhythm. She kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't just lived an entirely different life in broad daylight. "How was your day?" she asked. "Fine," I lied. "I went by your office." Her hand froze for a microscopic second. Then she smiled. CEO smooth. "Oh? I didn't get anything." I left it with Frank. There, a crack. So small most people would miss it. But after 28 years, I recognized the tiny hesitation, the micro-calculation behind her smile. "Oh yes," she said lightly. "He mentioned someone stopped by." She moved around the kitchen with calm routine, pouring wine, loosening her jacket, scrolling through her phone, not even a flicker of guilt. That night she slept beside me like always, steady breathing, warm skin, familiar perfume. But I lay awake staring at the ceiling, counting every late night, every business trip, every time she said, "Don't wait up." I wasn't sleeping next to my wife. I was sleeping next to her alibi. The next morning I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know. Not guess, not imagine. No. I followed her, quietly, carefully. Every step, every turn. Lauren, my wife of 28 years, walking into the building I thought I knew, only to disappear into Frank's office. Through the tinted glass I saw them, laughing. Not just smiles, real laughter. Their hands brushing on the same laptop, leaning close over documents, exchanging glances that burned a secret I wasn't meant to see. I caught myself holding my breath, like a teenager eavesdropping on love notes. I drove home in a daze, mind spinning. All the late nights, the business trips, the emergencies that always came with a wink. Every excuse, every story suddenly mapped onto their laughter. It wasn't just work. It wasn't just stress. It was her hiding a life I'd never been part of. That night I pretended to sleep again, but this time my thoughts weren't just counting suspicions. They were plotting, calculating. Because after 28 years, I didn't just feel betrayed. I felt invisible. And invisible people, they find ways to be remembered. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Confrontation is messy, and messy doesn't win. Strategy wins. I started small. I saved every email, every receipt, every business lunch note. I learned her routines, the meetings, the trips, the patterns that made her world predictable. Frank? I documented him too. Names, times, calls, flights, every detail. By the end of the week, I had a map of their life that even they didn't fully see. The people they trusted, the events they bragged about, all of it became my leverage. And me? I wasn't the broken husband anymore. I was the shadow in their daylight, the one who knew everything and waited. I could wait months. I could wait years. But when I moved, when I moved, it would be silent, precise, and unforgettable. Because betrayal might have given them power for a moment. But revenge? Revenge is a language they'll never learn until it speaks.